Hi, hey, hello. How's it going? It's Emily. And today we're going to try something a little different. So I've been wanting to do a slightly different version of my TBR game. And I intended to create a separate, smaller board for this, but I haven't yet, but I have an idea to get around this. So when I made my TBR game, I mentioned that one thing I could do and have a similar concept for is to have an abbreviated, maybe not necessarily readathon within a specific amount of time, but if I wanted to have kind of going through the game in one reading vlog, I could do a sprint race. So my TBR game is Formula One themed, and so I thought it could be fun. Every now and again in Formula One, they, in addition to the main race, they'll do kind of a shortened abbreviated race that they call a sprint race. And so, it's kind of along the theme of Formula One. And I thought it could be fun to have a shortened or, smaller board that could kind of function as a sprint race where I go through the board all in one vlog, roll as I go, and, complete the board and have that be one vlog. So I haven't created a separate board, but what I think I can do, and what I hope I can do, is normally I use I roll one dice. So normally I just roll one dice when I'm playing my TBR game for a normal month, and that gets me typically the right amount of books, sometimes more than I intend, but typically gets me the right amount of books. So I think I can roll two instead and see how that goes and see if I can get through it a little bit quicker and have it be reasonable to get through in one reading vlog. And I'm hoping that this can take me through a handful of reads and that can kind of get me set up to then be ready for my Christmas reads. So for my Christmas reads, I know what I want to read. I have them set. I don't want a TBR game to change or potentially impact what I'm reading because I have a very specific set of books that I want to get through around Christmas time. But before then, and before I get to those reads, I have a little bit of wiggle room. Most of what I have on my kind of ideal deck for this month includes essentially a lot of Fae stories that are kind of left over from November. And so hopefully I can get some of those on. I have a couple checked out from the library, so I in particular would like to get those on the list to be able to read quickly so that I can get those returned. There's also one that I want to read coming up because it's what I intend to read and use my Spotify audiobook hours for, and those are going to renew in, I think, a week. And so, anyway, let's just see how this goes and see if I can make this work. So what we're going to do is set up the normal board, but I'm just going to roll two instead of one and see if that can get me through the board a little bit quicker and make it work for this style of video to have it, be a vlog instead of a TBR video. So let's see if this works. Let's go over to the board and see if it'll cooperate with me. So we have everything set up here. Everything is shuffled. So let's go ahead and we're doing both of them this time and just see how that works. And we have a 3. So, So 1, 2, 3. So that'll be our first rule that we're going to go with, and that corresponds, that's the third team spot that we have here, the Alpine spot. So that's going to correspond to the third deck here. So let's pick our first one. Ooh, pretty cover. I love this. Okay, this is going to work perfectly. Okay, so this will be our first one to start this reading block off, and let's chat about the book I'm going to pick. So we have Pretty Cover, which is perfect for fairy loots. So what I'm going to go with is Between These Broken Hearts. This is by Lexi Ryan and is the second book in this second duology set in this world. And not only do I think the general cover has some pretty elements, but the main thing that is pretty is actually what's under the dust jacket. So let me see if I can kind of show you some of the character art here. So there's some there, and then there's also some right there. So hopefully that was coming through, but the reverse of the dust jacket is probably what I'll actually set for, face out when I read the book and put it on my shelves. So I will eventually flip it around. I just haven't done that yet to kind of show that gorgeous character art. So I think that definitely qualifies as a pretty cover. And so beginning of December has been a little bit chaotic. I've been reading Brimstone, but haven't filmed any of my thoughts yet on Brimstone by Callie Hart. So what I'll do is finish that one up, start this one, and this one's perfect because this is one of the ones I've checked out from the library, so I need to return that. And then so we'll be able to do a wrap up my thoughts on Brimstone and initial thoughts on this one in the next clip. So let's do that. I hope this is fun. I'm excited to do this vlog and kind of go through the game throughout the vlog and roll as I go. Hopefully this is a fun format. Let me know if you enjoy this format or if you enjoy this way of me kind of doing my TBR game. Hopefully I'll be able to finish this in a timely manner so that I can then get to Christmas books in a timely manner. But we'll see how this goes. Maybe this will work, maybe this won't. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you want me to do this again or if they want this to be a regular thing that I do. Let me know. And we'll go from there. But I'm excited to start this vlog and keep rolling throughout the vlogs. So hopefully you're excited to come along. So let's catch up a little bit. So I had mentioned that I had finished Brimstone, or was about to finish Brimstone by Callie Hart. And this is the sequel to Quicksilver, which I really enjoyed and read earlier this year. Pretty early on in the year, I think. Had a really good time with it. And this one was also a lot of fun. I think there were some bits that dragged in the middle, but the last part of it, especially the last quarter, so good. I just had a ton of fun with this one. I really enjoyed the audiobook as well. But I had a lot of fun with this one. We pick right up where we left off in Quicksilver, and they're trying to get more information, trying to prepare for a bunch of stuff, and there are a lot of really fun fight scenes in this one. Some more character development and relationship building, some larger world building, as well as we're kind of preparing for kind of this larger stuff to happen. And as I said, I really enjoyed kind of where it left off and that ending. Very excited for the next installment. So I then have been reading, actually I need to go get it, please hold. So I then was reading Between These Broken Hearts by Lexi Ryan. I've been having a good time with this one. I'm between 2/3, 3/4 of the way through at the moment, having a really good time. Once again, we're following Jas and Felicity, and I'll just talk in general about this series. So this is a duology that kind of follows the events of, it is the first book, These Broken Bonds? Is that the first one? Anyway, there's a duology that comes before this one. And it's important to read that one first, just chronologically. That one distinctly happens before this duology. And so before we were rudely interrupted by my SD card filling up, I was mentioning that for Between These Broken Hearts, that it's good to read the first duology before this one, the duology that centers around Abriella or Prix. Read that one first. But I did have a really enjoyable time with this duology. So my SD card filled up. It's been a couple of days. I couldn't clear it out right as it was filling up. And then yesterday, Matt and I just had a nice chill day watching the Formula One race. We took a nice long walk to a lake that's nearby. And around this lake, there are a lot of businesses, and so we like to go to the coffee shop that's around there, maybe check out the brewery. There's a used bookstore, so we went by those places yesterday, just hung out, had a good time, and then walked back to the car. So yeah, we like to, it's relatively close by. We kind of park far away and then walk to this lake and walk back. Anyway, it was a nice, lovely day. And so I have, in the meantime, finished this one. So I had a really good time with this one. As I said, this duology is just fun. It's just a lot of fun. I enjoy the characters. I enjoy just the politics and the plot and the intrigue here. And so I actually, before my SD card filled up, before I filmed that last clip, I actually did film a clip for the roll because I was about to finish it. So I just went ahead and filmed another roll. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that clip in here, and then we can talk about the book after. All right. And next roll. And we got a 6. Let's see what that gets us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're at the Haas spot, the second team spot. So let's go to this second deck here. People on the cover. Okay, let's see if I can make this work. So, person on the cover. What I ended up choosing, and I'm a little bit into this now in the intervening couple of days, is Murder at Holly House. Now, there's not a person on the front cover, so I guess I'm cheating a little bit, but there is a person coming out of the chimney here on the back cover. You can just see the legs sticking out of the chimney, like right there, which I'm going to count, okay? Just my game, my rules, all right? I'm going to count it because this is the one that I wanted to use for my Spotify hours. So even though it took a little finagling, if I could make this count, that's what I was going to do so that I could listen to it before my Spotify hours ran out. And so, yeah, anyway, I am in the mood for a Christmas murder mystery anyway, so this was perfect timing. And this one has been so fun. This was the book at Barnes & Noble that you could get for $5 if you got a cafe drink. And when we were at Barnes on Black Friday, my cousin was like, hey, actually, I do want a drink. And I was like, okay, sure, yeah, let's get a drink at the cafe. And then I saw this, and she actually also got one. But I saw this, I was like, sounds too fun to pass up for $5. So I did in fact get this. This is set in the 1950s, and we're following an inspector from Yorkshire who is called to a smaller town. He's called to Elderby, and he's called there to help the police staff in Elderby solve some thefts that have been going on some of the farms that are around this area. So it's kind of a rural area, a lot of farms. There's a main street in town, but it's a really small town. Anyway, so he's been called in to help investigate some of these thefts. But wouldn't you know, as he is at Holly House talking to some people, they come to discover that the reason the chimney is kind of clogged is because there is a dead body in there. Yeah, so that's why we have this guy hanging out of the chimney on the back. Anyway, because that's how a person is found dead at Holly House. And so he then begins to get caught up in this mystery as well. And it's just been really funny. He's 38, but is still feels older and is just kind of curmudgeonly. And it's just really funny to be like thinking from his perspective, or viewing things from his perspective. Definitely very kind of old school writing style, like what you would expect for a murder mystery set in England in the 1950s. Like it's very much what I was anticipating as far as just kind of the writing and storytelling style. And it's just been funny. It's just been just silly and fun, and I'm having a good time with it, and a good time following our inspector and in following this small town. And so it starts with this body at Holly House, and then there's some more stuff going on, and he's meeting these very interesting characters in this small town. So yeah, I'm having a grand time. I'm a solid chunk of the way through, so I'm hoping I can finish this up maybe today or early tomorrow, which means I do want to roll. And I actually haven't filmed the roll this time. I am actually about to film it after finishing this clip. I don't know why I did it early for the other one. I think maybe I just got rushed, and I just wanted to at least have that filmed so I could know what book I was going to pick up next, even if I didn't necessarily have time to film the full clip. And maybe I was just kind of in a rush, but I'm not at the moment. So I'm actually about to film the clip and get it set up and get the board set up. So let's figure out what we're going to read next, and then hopefully I'll finish this soon while probably getting some cleaning done, getting some laundry done. Maybe I need to do some laundry, so we're going to get that done. Listen to some more of this, but I'm going to figure out what book I'm going to read next. So let's go ahead and do that and get the board set up. Okay, so we have everything set up here. So let's go ahead and do our next roll. Okay, so we have a 7. All right, let's see what that gets us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we're on the second team spot. So let's go to the second deck over here. And, oh, flowers on the cover. Okay, let's see if I can find something with flowers on the cover. Please hold. So we got flowers on the cover. And actually this is the other audiobook I checked out from the library, although this one has quite a few copies available, so I wasn't worried about, if I didn't get to it, I could always check it out later, and it wouldn't be an issue. So I wasn't as worried about this one as I was about the other one. But I have been wanting to get to The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry for a long time. So this one definitely has some lovely flowers on the cover. It's actually quite a floral cover, so perfect for the prompt. And I think this is just vibey and atmospheric, and was something I intended to read in November, but it is a holdover from November. So I think this would be a perfect one to read. I think this is set in, is it 1800s Essex? Yeah, I think late 1800s. Someone's going from London and relocating to Essex, and mysterious things are happening. I don't know. Anyway, I've heard it's really good and really atmospheric, so we're going to give it a go and see how this goes for me. But yeah, I'll let you know once I actually have started it and have some more idea of what it's about. I'll give an update and some initial thoughts on that one. But first we're going to finish Murder at Holly House and then move on to that one. So, perfect. So it is the next morning and we have some updates. I have finished Murder at Holly House and had a really fun time with this one. I was listening while cleaning yesterday and finished it up at the gym. And yeah, had a really good time with this one. It was just fun, entertaining, funny. I wish it were slightly more Christmas forward. I mean, it was cold, but I wish it were slightly more Christmas forward. But anyway, had a good time with this one. And I then did start listening to The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry. And I don't normally DNF this early. I'm a bit over 60 pages in. And I'm going to go ahead and DNF this one. And this one, we're following Cora, whose husband passes away, and she ends up moving to Essex, to chase stories of the Essex Serpent. And it's just not a writing style I'm getting into. And this is just personal preference, personal taste in writing style. I do love historically set fiction, so it's not kind of an old-timey writing style that I have any sort of issue with. I love it, actually, but this is kind of that style of writing where it's taking forever to get to the point of what's happening in a scene. I just feel like the writing is meandering so much and just using so many words to just kind of get to what's going on. And if it takes that long to get to the point, I usually just end up kind of getting bored, and it feels like it's taking forever for anything to happen. And that's kind of what was going on. I was just getting bored, and that writing can work for me and kind of help set the scene and feel lush and atmospheric. But in this one, I was just getting bored, unfortunately. So we are going to call it a quits on this one, but I am glad I tried. Again, it had been vaguely on my radar for a while, and so I'm glad I gave it a go, but unfortunately just was not for me. So it does mean that we need to set up the board and do a roll to see what I'm going to read next. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we're set up here for another, accidentally dropped that one, another roll, another 7. Interesting. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And once again, we are on the Haas spot, or the second team spot. So we will grab one of these cards. A recent release. Interesting. So recent release. So we're going to go with Cursebound by Sarah L. Arifi. This is a 2025 release. I do believe it came out earlier in 2025, and I do have more recent releases, but this was something that was on my radar for November. I was just trying to get as many Fae stories as I could in November. I don't know, it's just a month I like to read them in particular, although I'll read them anytime. But this is one I had my eye on for November and didn't quite get to it. This is a continuation of the series that starts with Faebound, and I read Faebound, I believe, in January of this year and had a fun time with it. So I want to continue the series before I just completely forget everything that happened. And I do believe this is going to be a trilogy, so that's why I say continue the series, because I think it's going to be a trilogy, and that this will be followed up by a third book at some point, probably before too long. I'll need to check when the third one's coming out, but we'll at least get to continue a series and be ready for the third one when that comes out. So I will get started on this one and let you know once I have some initial thoughts on Cursebound. It is now the next morning, so good morning, and I have been reading Cursebound and have been having a really good time with this one, and definitely more successful so far than the Essex Serpent. And I've heard that this series isn't even liked as much as her other one is. Like, it's still liked for the most part, but not as much as her other series. So it makes me really excited to read her other series as well. But anyway, this picks up right where we leave off after Faebound, and so I'm not going to be able to talk too much plot-wise, but I will talk a little bit about Faebound. We follow a couple of sisters, and one is in the military, one sister is a seer. So the one who's in the military, is general the right word? I don't remember what her rank is, but anyway, she's a leader in the army. They're both elves. And her sister advised, the seer advised the military leader sister to go east, and she does, and they are attacked by, I think they're attacked at that point by a group of Fae. They don't even know Fae exist anymore. And for disobeying orders and instead going east, the military sister is kicked out of her community and ends up coming across a creature that the elves actually used for their magic and for their power. So she kills this creature, but it turns out that these creatures are tied to or bonded to Fae. And so she's actually at that point taken back to the Fae lands to answer for killing one of these creatures. Meanwhile, her sister has left the community as well to go and try to find the sister who was kicked out and for disobeying military orders. And so, the seer is trying to go find her sister, finds her in the Fae lands, and again, they didn't know Fae existed anymore, so she's thrust into the world of the Fae and some things that are going on there, and some things that are kind of tied to her homeland. And so they get caught up in a bunch of stuff. And I don't want to talk too much more about what happens, but they get tied up in the politics of the Fae. And in this one, they need to, one of the sisters, the military sister who was kicked out, actually needs to go back to their elven community to warn them of some things, again, that are kind of connected to what's been going on in the Fae realm and how that ties into some of their other communities. And the other sister, the seer, is trying to find some information to break this curse that has kind of hidden the Fae away. And anyway, so they're both kind of on their mission, trying to either find information or continue to warn or protect their community from certain threats. And so again, they get caught up in a bunch of stuff going on. So it's been fun. I've been really enjoying this one. I am a decent chunk in, and I do have a doctor's appointment today that I need to drive to, and it usually takes a while for this doctor anyway, so I'm usually there for quite a bit of time, and so I'll have some time to read, and so I want to make sure that I have another book lined up for when I finish this one. So I think hopefully we can finish this in one roll, and I can just have one more book before I'm able to just kind of dive into the Christmas reads, but we'll see what happens. So I'm going to go set up the board, and let's once again go ahead and go over to the board and see what my next read is going to be and see what the board has in store for us. All right, we are set up here. So okay, we have a 6. So let's see where that takes us. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, perfect. Takes us right to the checkered flag. And I usually do a free pick when I do the checkered flag. So let's go ahead and do a free pick. So that was very nice of the game. It was very cooperative and ended exactly when I needed it to end. And I think what I'm going to do is, so my original intention was to continue some Fae series, but I think I'm going to start another series instead. And I think I'm going to start the Adenishire series. Is that how you say that? And it starts with A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic. The third book in this series just came out as well and is very kind of festive winter season appropriate. So I kind of had that in my mind to read this month, but I think it actually would be fun to just read them in order and just read all of them this month. So let's go ahead and start this series and get caught up through the third one, shall we? And they all seem just very cozy. The third one in particular was the one that seemed very winter coated, but they all seem very cozy, which is still very appropriate for this month. So this one just follows let's see, there's a human baker who lives in a land of elvish enchantments and dwarven delights. And so she doesn't really have the kind of magic that other people have, but she's entering this baking competition and is trying to establish her culinary reputation and prove her talent. And so it's her process of going through this baking competition, which again just seems very cozy. So let's go ahead and start this series and continue it throughout the month. I'm excited. I know I shouldn't be starting series, but I just can't help it. Oh, and look at this. How precious is that art? Anyway, so let's start this series, and once I finish Cursebound, and I will come back to you, and hopefully it's the book of my cozy dreams. So, all right, let's get reading. So here to wrap up this vlog, and it's been a longer time than I intended, but I have finished Cursebound by Sarah Elarifi and had a really fun time with this one. Just a lot going on, super fun, and I was entertained. I know I had a good time with this one, and I'm excited for, I think the third one is called Earthbound to come out, and I'm not sure when it comes out, but I hope Fairy Lou does an edition of it because these are gorgeous. Anyway, looking forward to it, and as I said, looking forward to checking out her other series, which I believe is a completed trilogy. So I then did pick up A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic. This is by Jay Penner and the start of the Adenashire series. And this one was so cozy. If you want a cozy book that is an episode of the Great British Bake Off in book form, I got you. This one right here. Look no further. This one was so fun, so cozy. We're following Arletta, who is a human, has no magic, and is living in Adenashire. It's the place that, these characters live. And she loves to bake. She sells her bakes at this weekly market and is having a good time doing that. Unbeknownst to her, one of her bakes is entered into this baking competition, and she has never entered herself to this baking competition because non-magical beings don't tend to enter or do well. They tend to be looked down upon. They don't tend to do well. Anyway, she has no hope that she would actually get through and be successful in this competition as someone who does not have magic. But she's accepted, and an elf comes to let her know that her entry was successful and that she has been entered into this competition or can compete in this baking competition. And she is ultimately convinced by this elf that, one, she is kind of selling herself short and not really giving credit to her talents. And two, that it would be a good idea to actually go and compete and just see how far she can get. And her last name is actually kind of wizard origin, so she's actually kind of under the radar as a human. And some people think she's a wizard, but haven't explicitly asked. Anyway, whatever. But basically, it then just follows an episode of the Great British Bake Off as they are going through this baking competition. Like, literally everything is even called the same thing. Like, there's a signature bake, and they're gonna do the showstopper. Anyway, it's great. If you love Great British Bake Off and you want a book that feels the same, like, I promise you read this one. Just cute, cozy, nothing earth-shattering, but a good time. I then was like, well, let's just continue on to the second book in the series, because the third one is one that I want to read for the holidays. It's very winter holiday coded, so that'll be in the next vlog with all of my Christmas holiday, whatever, end of year reads for this season. And so I was like, well, we might as well just read the second one, and then when I read the third one, I'll have all of the background for the characters and what's going on in this town. So in this one, we follow Dolly, who we do meet. We meet this main character, and the main character in the third book in the first book at this baking competition. So anyway, so we have met Dolly in the first book, but this is Dolly's book. And Dolly comes back to live in Adenashire, and is part of her inheritance is this dragon egg, and she has no clue how. I think is it her uncle, whatever. She has no idea how her uncle or whoever died had a dragon egg, but she needs to figure out how to take care of a little baby dragon. And so if you want something that's super cute, again, just very cozy, and involves an adorable little baby dragon, then, this one was a great pick. So in this one, she runs into, like, one of the neighbors is someone who has a lot of books, and she actually works at the bookstore, but there's someone who also has a huge collection of books and, knows some things about, creatures. And so she's asking him for help on how to raise and handle this little baby dragon. And it's just super cute and a good cozy time. And again, we do get to spend more time with some of our other characters. So I'm very much looking forward to the third one. And the third one follows kind of one of our grumpy leads, so it should be a really hilarious time because the grumpy lead is going to get the festive holiday book where they're going to learn to cheer up a bit, I think. But it's going to be a good time. And so that is going to conclude this vlog. So it actually ended at the perfect time because right as things were ending was right when I kind of wanted to jump into my holiday read. So again, that'll be the next vlog. But we ended at the perfect time. And yeah, so thank you so much for joining me. Let me know what you think about this format because I'm thinking about this type of video concept plus another one, and just to kind of alternate between the two to kind of catch up on a lot of fairy loots and standalones that I want to catch up on. So let me know what you think of this video format and if you enjoy it, because I think this might be a video concept I kind of incorporate instead of using it as like a TBR game for the month, like using it to get my TBR rolling along the way for a reading vlog and using my game that way just for a little while because I really just need to catch up on my physical TBR. So we'll see. But yeah, thanks again for joining me, and be sure to subscribe for more bookish content, and look forward to the next vlog where we're just going to go through some holiday reads and have a good cozy time. And I'll be sure to put my Instagram link down below, as well as more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.